All right, in this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the text tool in Photoshop. The text or type tool can be found right here on the toolbar. Its keyboard shortcut is the letter T. And you just want to right click and make sure you're on the horizontal type tool. These other ones are handy, but we're not going to worry about those just yet. So horizontal type tool, and you have two options when you're creating text. You can either just click and start typing. And this works really well if you're just going to do a few words or just one line of text. You just want to do the click and start typing. That's a much smarter choice. Then what you want to do if you're going to do a paragraph or multiple lines, which is you would click and drag, and then you can type up a paragraph. And you can see that when I get to the end of the line that it just automatically bumps it down to the next line. So it's kind of like typing in Microsoft Word or something like that. So if you're typing multiple lines, then you're going to want to do the click and drag to create text. If you're just typing one line, then you just want to click and start doing your typing. If you're typing and you realize you just messed up and you want to just start over and get rid of it, press the escape key and that will make that go away and you can start over. Up here along the top of the Photoshop, we have all of our options. Here's our font box. Lots of different fonts to choose from. Here's the size. You'll notice it only goes up to 72, but you can click in here and type in a bigger number like 300 and press enter, and you can see that makes your text quite a bit bigger. You can also align your text to the left or centered or to the right, and you can change the color of it by clicking on this box, and the color box works by choosing a general color over here like blue, and then clicking a more specific blue out here. And then that changes that text to blue. So if I was going to create some new text, I would grab my text tool, I would come and click. It's probably a good idea to set your settings beforehand. So I'm going to change my font, change my size to 500. I want it aligned to the center, and I want it to be green. And here is my text. Now you can see it kind of went off the edge of the screen, so I want to move that over. Well, if you watch my cursor, if I move it away from my text, it turns into the Move tool cursor, and I can click and drag and move that text around, and then I would just press. There's a couple different ways to tell Photoshop that you're done typing. One of them is by clicking on this check mark right here. The other is to press the Enter key on your keyboard, the one by the numbers. The Enter key by the letters is just going to give you a new line of text. The Enter key by the numbers is going to tell Photoshop I'm done typing and I want to commit that text. Okay, what if you make a mistake like I did here? I accidentally capitalized this E. I want to go in and select that E and lowercase that. So if you watch my cursor, you can see how it's got those, it's a little hard to see, there you go. You can see those black dots around it that make a square. That means that right now if I click and drag, I'm going to create a new box of text, or if I click, I'm going to create new text. If I want to edit text that already exists, watch what happens as I move my cursor closer to that text. See how those dots went away? With those dots gone, that means that I'm now ready to select or edit text that already exists. So here, I'm going to create new text. Here, I'm going to edit or select this text. That E right there, I can now select that and type in a lowercase e, or I can select and be like, well, you know what, I want this text to be a different color, so I could click on that and change just that text to a white. And then again, just press the Enter key by the numbers or check this box up here to tell Photoshop you're done typing. And the last thing I want to show you is that sometimes our text, like if I come up here and I make this, change this color to something kind of gray, you can see it's really hard to see. It really blends in with the background. So we want to find a way to make our text stand out in the cases like that. So I'm going to select that text layer, and you can see text gets its own special kind of layer here in the layers panel. And this even tells me this is the text layer that says start typing, and that's the one that I want to edit. So I'm going to click on this layer, come down here to the FX button at the bottom of my layers panel. This is the layer styles, and I'm going to choose stroke. So I'm going to choose a stroke, and what stroke does is it allows me to put a border around my text. It's a little hard to see. Let me make it bigger. There you go. You can see I've added a black border to that text, and that border is showing up inside of the text, and that's why it says in. See how it says inside right here? If I change this to outside, that border shows up outside of the text, and I can eventually make it big like that, but I don't really want that. So right about there I think looks good. And by adding that black border, it helps my text stand out. I could do a different color if I want. I could make that color white. That's a little bit harder to see. I could make it green if I was feeling a little strange, but whatever color you choose, there are ways you can help your text stand out a little bit better like that. Last thing is, of course, because our text makes up multiple layers, when we go to save it, is going to suggest that we save it as a PSD file. So I recommend that you save it once as a PSD and then save it again as a JPEG, because saving it as a PSD will save our text on its own layer, which allows us to edit it later if we need to, and then saving it as a JPEG allows us to turn it in on Flickr.